Today is MCoC's patch day, and with that we got two new buffs, one being the Red Skull buff, which I don't have ranked up already, so I can't make a proper video on, but the other one was the Shocker buff, and this is the one that I did have a rank 3 Shocker ready for and was eager to test out. So, with that being said, I'm going to break down what Shocker got changed and how this is a significant improvement to him right after this massive heavy punch that I think is the best part of the buff. Well, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, the first change is changing the physical vulnerability passive from his SP2 from a 20% potency to a 30% potency. This is just an extra damage boost if you do so decide to go for his SP2 rotation, which I don't always go for, but for some fight durations it just depends on when that's better, and it's a significant improvement if you do decide to go for that rotation. On the other hand, his critical rating was raised from to 33%. The way Shocker would work originally is that he cannot crit, and his critical rating would instead reduce the opponent's armor rating. Shocker's original critical rating was 24%, and now it is 33%, so that's just another decent little damage boost. It's just reducing his armor by even more now, the opponent's armor by even more now. Unblockable attacks no longer consume charges, which I will point out closer to the end of the video on what exactly that means. It changes the way Shocker's Unblockable works, and I'll get to that later. But the SP1, which is your massive charge gain special, got an increase from 30 charges gained instead of 25. That is a decent increase. It's an extra 20% of what he already had, so that's kind of cool. Shocker's critical rating reduces the opponent's armor rating instead of increasing his armor penetration, which I'm not exactly sure what the difference between those two are. If someone would like to point that out in the comments, that'd be great. And then the last thing is just a synergy change, which I'm not really going to be going over. So one of Shocker's significant buffs was the part where he got his critical rating increased, because like I said earlier, the critical rating, instead of actually allowing him to crit, it instead reduces the opponent's armor rating now. So this is pre-buff Shocker, and we're going to see how much damage we can do with just an SP1 stun charge. So the way the SP1 works is that you have a chance to stun the opponent, and the way I like to do that with the Special 1 rotation is where you get that stun and then just charge the heavy and do that repeatedly. So if you get an SP1 stun, you are going to deal 62,000 damage. Limber is irrelevant when fighting a Battlegrounds opponent because he turns that off. So if you get an SP1 stun, you're always going to do 62,000 damage with pre-buff Shocker. And you're going to see me try to close the fight out now with some extra heavy attacks, and we get him all the way down to 12%, and we're going to charge one more heavy attack, and we finish him off in about 31 seconds, I believe, which is pretty good. Honestly, this guy actually hit kind of hard pre-buff. But now we're going to see post-buff. So remember, pre-buff, his critical rating was 24%, and that is obviously before masteries, but with his pre-buff, it is now 33% before masteries, so you're getting a lot of extra armor penetration, or reducing the opponent's armor rating with the buff, because of that 24% going to 33%. So we're going to see how much damage an SP1 cycle can deal now. We get the stun, we dash in, and we deal a massive 79,000 damage. So 62 to 79 is almost a 25% increase, which is actually pretty good. I'm trying to do the math, like 62 to 75, or 79. It's actually more than 25% increase now that I math it out correctly. It's actually closer to 33%, I think. And so we're just going to finish him off with this heavy attack right here. So we killed that guy in 2 heavy attacks after the buff. And you're going to see the fight ended in 27 seconds, which isn't like significantly faster than the pre-buff version, but it is faster regardless. So it gives him a larger kill window, is the more important part, by reducing the armor rating further. So now we're going to see what Shocker does pre-buff when you get the maximum amount of allowed charges, which is 100. Pre-buff, you could do 140,000 damage with your maximum amount of charges, and post-buff, with that armor penetration increase, you're going to see It does a lot more. We're almost at the SP2, and we throw it right here. We're going to charge our heavy attack, and the cool thing about Shocker's heavy attack is that once you hit 0 charges, it releases itself automatically, which I think is a really nice design choice they gave. But anyway, it does 173,000 damage, so definitely got a much larger max damage kill window. So that's really nice, again, for a larger kill window in Battlegrounds fights. So the last thing I'm going to go over is one of the best changes, I think, to Shocker, and that was his Unblockable. As you can see, this is the pre-buff text, and what it says is that at 50 plus charges, while dashing forward, Shocker is passively unblockable. If the dash attack breaks the opponent's block, it consumes 20 charges. Now this was always annoying, because sometimes you were trying to intercept the opponent, and then if they decide to block it, it's just a waste, because you do trigger the unblockable hit, but you lose 20 charges, and those charges are very important for your damage. Well, they decided to rework the way this unblockable works to make it to where it doesn't consume your charges, so you're not losing out on damage. I'm going to show you right here, and when you dash forward and break the opponent's block now, what it does is, instead of consuming charges, it gives the unblockable a 20-second cooldown, which is way more fair because you're not removing your damage, and it means that if you do intercept the opponent and use that unblockable hit, then it's just going to go on cooldown, which is fair because dashing forward unblockable all the time is really, really good, and I'm wondering if that would be too OP. Maybe not, maybe so, I don't know. Anyway, I absolutely love the Shocker buff. I think they fixed so many things that were significantly making him a little weak, and I'm very happy with how the buff went, and I hope you enjoy playing Shocker yourself. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the video.